Carroll O'Connor became one of the most recognizable faces in television history through his unforgettable portrayal of Archie Bunker. But behind the laughter and acclaim, O'Connor carried a private bitterness toward one man, Rob Reiner. To outsiders, the father-son dynamic on All in the Family looked like electric chemistry. To O'Connor, it was a tense battlefield. He would later confess that he never hated anyone as much as he hated Reiner. This wasn't casual bitterness, but a long-standing resentment rooted in ego, clashing personalities, and conflicting artistic philosophies. O'Connor's anger was not merely personal, it was professional. He saw Reiner as a threat to his authority, his craft, and the authenticity of the character he had built. Yet, despite the hostility, the friction between them may have fueled the very tension that made All in the Family groundbreaking. This story reveals how genius can sometimes coexist with bitterness. Bronx roots, a boy shaped by the Great Depression. Carroll O'Connor was born John Carroll O'Connor on August 2, 1924, in the Bronx, New York, into a working-class Irish-American family. The Great Depression shaped his early life, teaching him firsthand the brutal reality of economic hardship and social inequality. His parents emphasized education, storytelling, and tradition, values that would later become essential to O'Connor's acting style. He grew up listening to family narratives, absorbing the cadence of real working-class speech, and the emotional truth of struggle. These early experiences gave him a sharp awareness of class, injustice, and the complicated ways people defend their worldviews. Even as he pursued academic success, he remained grounded in the everyday lives of ordinary people. This background would later inform his most famous character, Archie Bunker, a man who was both a product of his environment and a symbol of America's unresolved social tensions. Education and service, the making of a thinker. O'Connor's path to acting was not immediate. He attended Wake Forest University and later the University of Montana, where he studied English and developed a deep appreciation for literature. His academic journey was interrupted by World War II, during which he served in the United States Merchant Marine. The war exposed him to the discipline of duty and the complex behavior of humans under stress. After the war, he returned to school, earned his degree, and began teaching. It was during this time that he realized his true calling lay in performance rather than the classroom. He wanted to step into stories rather than analyze them. His intellect and literary training gave him a unique edge. He didn't just act. He understood character motivations, social context, and the deeper meaning behind dialogue. This intellectual foundation would later set him apart in a medium often dominated by surface-level comedy. The Irish years, finding his voice abroad. In the 1950s, O'Connor moved to Ireland and studied at University College Dublin. This period abroad was transformative. Immersed in Irish theatre, he learned the power of stagecraft, timing, and emotional honesty. He performed in plays, sharpened his craft, and discovered a voice that could carry both humour and heartbreak. The Irish experience also deepened his sense of cultural identity and storytelling tradition. Returning to the United States in the 1960s, he began building a career in television and film through guest roles and supporting parts. His early screen work included roles in Cleopatra, 1963, What Did You Do in the War, Daddy? 1966, and Point Blank, 1967. These roles demonstrated his range and hinted at a deeper talent, one that could move effortlessly between comedy and drama. Yet the public still had no idea that O'Connor was about to become a cultural lightning rod. The Archie Bunker legacy, a controversial hero. In 1971, O'Connor landed the role that would define his life, Archie Bunker, in All in the Family. Archie was not a cartoon villain or a lovable buffoon. He was a man with prejudices, fears, and a rigid worldview shaped by the times. O'Connor embraced the challenge of playing someone both detestable and human. He infused Archie with emotional depth and unexpected vulnerability, ensuring the character remained complex rather than one-dimensional. Audiences recognized their own relatives in Archie, the stubborn father, the frustrated worker, the man afraid of change. The show became a cultural phenomenon, addressing racism, gender roles, politics, and class in a way television had never dared. O'Connor won 4 Emmy Awards for his performance, but the role also came with heavy emotional responsibility. Archie Bunker wasn't just a character, he was a social mirror. Behind the laughter, family, adoption, and loss. In 1962, while filming Cleopatra in Rome, O'Connor and his wife, Nancy Fields, adopted a 6-year-old boy named Hugh. The adoption was a tribute to O'Connor's late brother, whose death had deeply affected him. The decision reflected O'Connor's devotion to family and his desire to create a loving home despite the demands of his career. Hugh grew up surrounded by television sets and film crews, and at age 17, he worked as a courier on the set of Archie Bunker's Place. Later, O'Connor created a role for him on In the Heat of the Night, demonstrating his desire to support his son's creative growth. Tragically, Hugh later battled addiction and died by suicide in 1995. O'Connor was devastated and his grief became a public mission. He appeared in public service announcements for the Partnership for a Drug-Free America, using his fame to warn others about addiction. His pain became a source of advocacy. A second icon, Chief Bill Gillespie and reinvention. After All in the Family, O'Connor reinvented himself in the late 1980s as Chief Bill Gillespie in the Heat of the Night. The character was the opposite of Archie, compassionate, thoughtful, and evolving. O'Connor also worked behind the camera as a producer and writer, proving his talents extended beyond acting. The series explored racial tension, crime, and moral complexity in a small Mississippi town. O'Connor's leadership helped shape the show into a long-running success. The role proved his range and reminded audiences that he was not limited to one iconic character. Yet even as he embraced new work, the legacy of Archie Bunker remained inseparable from his identity. He had created a cultural landmark, and the world would never let him forget it. Still, O'Connor's ability to transform himself again showed his resilience and artistic depth. The hatred. Why O'Connor despised Rob Reiner. Despite his success, O'Connor harbored a deep resentment toward his on-screen son, Rob Reiner. He described his hatred as unmatched, claiming he had never hated anyone as much. The conflict stemmed from personality clashes and artistic disagreements. O'Connor saw Reiner as arrogant and morally superior, someone who believed he was smarter than everyone else because he played the liberal voice. To O'Connor, this felt like constant judgment, undermining his own authority and interpretation of Archie. Reiner's approach was often ideological, turning scenes into moral lectures rather than authentic father-son arguments. O'Connor resented this, insisting he was an actor, not a preacher. The tension was not just professional, it was personal. O'Connor felt isolated, believing Reiner never saw him as a colleague or friend. The hostility lasted years, shaping O'Connor's experience on set and his view of his most famous collaboration. A legacy of contradiction, the man behind. Archie O'Connor's hatred of Reiner reveals a deeper truth about the actor. He was passionate, protective, and fiercely dedicated to his craft. He believed in the authenticity of character and feared that Reiner's moral certainty diluted the complexity of Archie Bunker. Yet despite his bitterness, O'Connor maintained professionalism on camera. The tension may have even fueled the show's intensity, making Archie and Michael's interactions feel raw and real. Still, O'Connor never softened his stance privately. He remained adamant that Reiner was the most difficult person he had ever worked with. This contradiction, between his public genius and private bitterness, makes O'Connor's story compelling. It shows how brilliant collaborations can hide painful conflicts. It also demonstrates how a man can create a beloved character while hating the person who helped define him. Outro, a cultural icon who carried pain in silence. Carol O'Connor died on June 21, 2001, in Culver City, California, after a heart attack worsened by long-term diabetes. His death marked the end of an era in American television. He was buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery, with a cenotaph honoring his son Hugh placed beside him, a final testament to the love that shaped his life. O'Connor's legacy is twofold. He gave the world Archie Bunker, a character that challenged and transformed television, and he endured personal tragedy with quiet dignity. His hatred for Rob Reiner, while shocking, reveals the emotional cost of artistic greatness. O'Connor was not simply an actor, he was a man who carried his family's struggles, his own demons, and the burdens of fame. In the end, his work remains timeless, complicated, controversial, and unforgettable.